Hello, my name is Alexander Morari, and I'm the founder of ITKeyMedia. You've tuned into our podcast about Central and Eastern European startups that are in pre-Series A stage. And today we have Paweł Lipiński, the co-founder of Talkie.ai, an AI-powered virtual agent and a voice bot, as a matter of fact. Hello, Paweł.
Hi, Alex. Thanks for having me.
Or should I say, cześć, Paweł?
Exactly.
Let's start with a small warm-up kind of question. How strongly do you agree with Elon Musk, who warns the humanity about the dangers of AI evolution, which is imminent, we know now?
Yeah, sure. I'm not sure if we mean exactly the same. I mean, me and Elon Musk, if we mean exactly the same by warning the humanity that AI might not be only positive. As any technology, as any powerful technology, it might be extremely impactful on many different areas of our life. It will absolutely, certainly make our lives easier. It already is making our lives easier. There are obviously the negative aspects of letting the technology go astray. And obviously AI, like many other technologies, needs some regulation, needs some regulation. European Union is starting to do something about this. Hopefully the regulators will regulate, but not over-regulate the area to make it better for all of us.
I have to kick in. When you say European regulations and over-regulation, they are very often synonyms. So let's be careful about trying to put them in juxtaposition. They're very much overshadowing each other. So interesting, you touched upon regulation yourself, being what, an aspiring, let's say, leader in the AI-driven tech space. Interesting. Not many people are ready to, like, to invoke such topics by themselves. Then, as far as regulation of AI, the Karl Čapek's laws of robotics, right? For robots. Do you think there has to be self-imposed code of rules or laws, let's say, by AI technology, or will you rather prefer the regulator to regulate you externally? Like, what's the best approach? And in any case, what would be the key 2-3, let's say, principles or tenets for AI technology that you would like to adhere to? I know this is like a loaded question, but let's try to unfold it.
Yes, it's a very loaded one and a very general one. We could probably spend like the next 4 hours discussing this.
And you have 2 minutes. And
I've got, exactly, I've got 2 minutes. So I would say regulation in terms of code, probably not necessarily a great idea. There might be implementations that could be right. There might be implementations where that wouldn't make any sense or little sense. That could impact the quality of the algorithms very much. I would rather prefer to have very well-defined rules, like the rules that we have when we drive cars on the street. On streets, we prefer to have rules that tell us, okay, go slow here, you can go faster there. And not everybody is that fond of your car manufacturer to limit the speed of the car for you, even though it is a trend. It is a trend right now. I believe that regulating in terms of, especially regulating professional makes sense on the legal level, and that should be sufficient. This is the way it works with GDPR, and it should work probably in a similar manner with AI, I guess.
Yeah, okay. So nice. Now being warmed up, let's move on to scenario, get back to scenario, basically. Let's start with route one, this solution, your kind of home zone, let's say. So as a quick intro, how would you introduce the product, the solution that you're working on?
So Talkie is a one-stop shop for automation of customer service voice processes. With Talkie, customer service teams can build, train, test, monitor, run voice bots or AI-based virtual assistants that act in a similar manner as people who do the job of being contact center agents. And Talkie enabled contact service customer service teams to be able to maintain those solutions themselves without the necessity of using specialized technical staff, or neither technical in terms of software developers nor technical in terms of data scientists or machine learning scientists.
Yeah, and so what makes it this a crazy mix, I would say, is what AI, one, of course, like AI driven, and ML, machine learning should be like an integral part of this as well. And then you made a bet on voice bots, right? So that's another kind of dimension. So you need what, a naturally sounding voice, different languages, accents, and so on and so on. Like what else am I missing here? What else you need as a part of
so
the
not necessarily all the different languages and all the different accents. Voice bots work in a number of different ways. Some of them use synthesized voices. For some applications, these voices can be of more generic classical type. For other applications, they need to be more natural sounding. For many applications, what we use is a pre-recorded recordings of yeah, exactly, templates that are being used for the expressions that the bot is using. This is obviously limiting the freedom of what the bot might do if you're only using the recordings. But still, there's plenty of things that you can do this way. So not necessarily all the different accents and languages.
Yeah, when I mentioned accents, definitely it's like in the English speaking world. I really think London, like UK English is a little bit different from Australian English and from American twang and so on and so on. And you would need to adapt to those different accents. That's what I had.
Yeah, so these are two different things. One is understanding, the other one is the way the bot pronounces, speaks, right? So so on the comprehension understanding side, there obviously needs to be the underlying model needs to be trained for different accents to be able to understand Mississippi person as well as London Cockney. I'm probably exaggerating. These are probably
real.
It's probably not that
right
easy, but still, at least the vast majority of accents can be safely used even for English. Although English is pretty hard from that perspective. Yeah,
indeed. So, look, getting back to the beginning, so to say, like, why did you decide this is a big enough issue, or there is big enough pain point that you can resolve? Like, what made you think so?
So I guess this is pretty simple. If you think of all the people that sit in contact centers, these are hundreds of thousands or millions of people, and all around the globe, these are probably tens of millions of people. It is a huge market, and a lot of that work is extremely repeating. It's extremely routine. There's oftentimes very little creativity or empathy. See, there are processes where we will always need to rely on people, on their creativity and empathy. But for a lot of processes, appointment management, like qualification of people, for some processes like lead generation qualification, for simple verifications of statuses or notifications whenever anything happens, people are not scalable. So like, imagine we currently in Poland have these thunderstorms, almost every day right now in the evenings. So with really heavy rain. Now imagine how many people who are flooded or their roof leaks. You know, they are trying to call insurance companies and they are not able to get through. They are not able to get served. Their house might be flooded and they don't know what to do with it. Is the insurance company going to support them anyhow? But they can't reach them. So in situations like this, and it's not the fault of the people in the contact center, neither the fault of the insurance company. It is
just a peak,
imminently, exactly, not scalable problem. And problems like this are very easily solved by automation, by voice bots, because typically voice bots with a good technology like Talkie, we don't really have any limits in terms of scalability. I mean, there obviously are limits. If we had, you know, the whole Europe calling one number, that probably would be a little too much. But we can easily serve thousands of simultaneous calls without sacrificing the performance. And likewise with a lot of other processes. For example, we do public opinion polls. Typically, doing a public opinion polls on a large enough sample takes days, sometimes even longer. And with a voice bot, the same thing is possible to be achieved within typically a couple of hours. So even from the perspective of the quality of the data that you're getting, how responsive the data is, you know, it's just a better quality solution than traditional approach.
Just to make sure for the audience as well, so your voice bots are trained to choose from their vocabulary this phrase, or they can adapt and synthesize contextual answers by their own, I mean, or do they just choose one of the pre-recorded phrases relevant for this context?
So this is a pretty complex question. It's more of a question of what businesses want much more than what is possible with the technology. The technology enables bots to be generating the answers and then synthesizing them into voice. So this is totally doable from the technological perspective.
Yes. By you as well. Okay.
Yes. What is typically, but this is typically not what businesses expect. Businesses expect, and actually this is why I believe this is a great area to be in right now, because a lot of businesses have been using bots for many years now. They have just botized their employees to just follow their scripts when you know, taking the calls. Yeah. In a lot of different industries, the agents are just not allowed to, you know, move away too far from the script, because these are strictly regulated industries like healthcare, right? So they just read the scripts as they go. They memorize those scripts to remember what to answer in different circumstances. This is exactly what most businesses expect from bots. They want to have complete control over what will say, how it will say it. So will the tone of the expression match the brand voice, right? So in most cases, I would say almost in all cases, what we are working with are scripts, are templates that we just use. We might have different versions of the same expressions. So obviously, you start a conversation with I or a hello. At the end, you know, there might be different variations, but as a general rule, what our clients want is a strict control over what the bot will be saying.
So interesting, like somebody like an outsider like myself, let's say, not involved every day like in this type of tech and so on. The idea would be too far-fetched about the business needs, and actual business needs are much more mundane and like here and now, basically, and you don't need to create a like rocket science kind of to implement, and there's still huge potential for you to grow and develop and understand within this like first layer of voice bots, rather than completely free flow conversations which are not needed, and moreover which have to be avoided sometimes. Okay, interesting.
Exactly. Exactly.
And moreover, this allows you to mitigate the risks as well in those regulated situations, right? If you allow AI to get the free flow, basically, and like flow of consciousness, of AI consciousness, should we say, then you are running the risk as well.
Yes, exactly. And so we also need to understand, I guess our listeners need to understand that there are two kinds of bots. One is this kind of general bot, chat bot, that you can talk about almost anything about. And that's a completely different problem than those goal-oriented transactional bots that we create or our clients create using our technology for businesses. GPT-3 is a great, OpenAI's GPT-3 is a great example of a general application, general bot that you can talk more or less about anything with. And it's probably fine for many different applications, but not that one. What we want to do is lead our clients through a very well-defined process, oftentimes through very well-defined steps. I gave the example of a public opinion poll. Public opinion polls are basically surveys where you go through questions, you read the possible answers, and just collect the data from your respondents. But it might be like one of the bots that is our reference client, Jean-Louis David's largest hairdresser chain in Europe line. We do primary thing that our bot does for them is appointment management. And appointment management is also a pretty well-defined process. You first need to ask about what service the person is interested in, then what salon the person's interested in, then the time slot, so the date and time, and obviously, you know, we can gather all this information in one sentence, but if people are giving us answers one by one, we can narrow down, you know, to the salons that support a certain service or time slots where that service is available. So what we really want to do in situations like this is just follow a pretty well-defined, strictly defined process. So there's very little room for creativity. There is room for creativity, obviously, in terms of expressions. And this is obviously something that, as the technology matures, will change over time. I believe once businesses get more used to voice bots and clients get more used to voice bots, they will start expecting more. Like, you remember web interfaces in the late 90s or beginning 2000, right? We didn't expect much from them. It was just a form and everybody was happy with a form or a simple list. With the web interfaces that we have right now, internet websites that we have right now, you know, we're not having simple forms and simple lists anymore. We have much richer experience, and this is where we are right now with voice bots or in general bot technology. We are probably, you know, at the beginning of the internet era, if I can make that comparison.
Yeah, it's like the voice bot language and kind of voice bot toolbox is just starting to develop. Paweł, let's switch then to the business side. What are the key 2-3 verticals that you are trying to attack right now? Let's say globally, okay? And then your business model as well. Like, what's the pricing model and how successful you are now earning, basically, not burning.
Sure. So Talkie as a platform is more of a than a solution that fits a only specific industries, for example, right? So like CRM can be used for more or less any kind of business. Similarly, voice bots or Talkie can be used in any kind of business that has direct contact with clients. But still, there are businesses that are more served through the telephony channel or voice channel, because it doesn't need to be telephony only. And these are industries like healthcare, like insurance, financial services, it is telecommunications, it is logistics. So all these brands we typically tend to use phone more than applications or websites.
Yeah, okay. Pricing model, and what are your recent or overall successes on the sales side? I mean, on the implementation and clients that you have already
Sure.
satisfied or
Um,
delighted, as you say.
On the business model side, we currently support two main models. One is a typical pay-as-you-go model. So basically, whatever you or your users, your clients are going to use in terms of time of the usage of the platform, of the conversations with the bot, we basically charge a per minute fee. And this is great for businesses that have very uneven traffic, like we were talking about insurance or short campaigns where they just want to, like public opinion polls. They just need to have a campaign going for a couple of days and that's it. And so in those situations, this is a very comfortable model.
And again, no subscription fee, no integration implementation kind of consultancy fees, nothing of that.
Consultancy fees are a separate story. Consultancy fees are whenever we do professional services. So whenever we have a team of conversational designers, and they build voice bots for our enterprise clients. So whenever our clients prefer us to build the solutions for them, we're obviously open to this, and then this is just a consultancy fee or a setup fee. And this is how it typically starts with clients. We typically start by implementing the first process or first couple of processes for them, and then we start involving their staff, their professionals, to start working with the platform so that they can take it over and long-term maintain those solutions themselves. This is very important because typically customer service teams, they don't want to kind of lose control over what's really going on there. They want to be able to experiment with different phrases or expressions or flows of conversations. So they need to be able to do it themselves. The second model that we have is a monthly lump sum, which is proportional to the number of simultaneous calls that our platform can perform for a given client. So imagine you are an insurance company and you have, 100 agents, live agents, and you want to be able to move 10% of your traffic to voice bots. Then you probably need around 10, a replacement or something that's equal to 10 live consultants. And then we would just charge you for 10 virtual consultants, a flat monthly fee.
Yeah, okay. And what about the actual price tag for PPU model and this lump sum? I mean, if you can give a range. I understand this might differ from region to region, from country to country, but anyways.
We're trying to keep it at the level of 1/3 of a cost of a person, of a live person. So, so whatever the region is, we would try to keep it more or less within this range. Obviously, depending on the volume, obviously, depending, sometimes some clients want to have, for example, a blended model. They are fine paying a flat fee for those two virtual agents, but they still want to be able to support whenever there's peak hours, right? So to be able to support all their clients.
So when you go to another market, to just benchmark against the call center or contact kind of support function, basic salary, benchmark salary, and so on, and just come to your clients and say, you might change a little bit, saying that we provide 70% savings on your current generalized benchmark. This is
obviously much more complex to calculate, because people don't work 24/7. They work probably like 8 hours a day, and then they're really active. The statistics say that a typical contact center agent is really active talking on the phone for between 35 and 40 minutes per hour. So if you take all of these into account, that, you know, it can really easily be at the level of 70% of cost cutting.
Yeah, and usually AI has not yet learned how to be moody or change moods and so on, which is another advantage, of course. Yeah. And as far as your bottom line by now, can you share something like your current MRR or the trend that you want to reach?
So this is not a typical MRR business. This is not a subscription-based business. So MRR is probably not a good indicator because it might change. It really changes from month to month. But as a trend, it's constantly growing. It's important to say that we have had our first investment round in July last year. So it was end of July. So we have realistically starting scaling, you know, fall last year. From that point, our revenue has grown H1, first half of 2021 versus first half of 2020 by 7.1 times. So we're at the point of very aggressive growth, and basically every month is different. But we are right now getting close to 50K euro a month.
Yes, so this is what I was driving at, of course. And again, you might say not 7 times, but 700% growth year on year in revenue, I understand. With low low initial basis, it's easy. And of course, I wish you all the best, you know, to even increase this tempo. Paweł, thanks. Let's move on to next round. And next round is competition. You cannot say now that AI, kind of AI-driven tech space is a lonely spot globally. Huge competition. It seems like barrier of entry is getting low and low. And you mentioned GPT-3, which just spawned, you know, thousands of businesses. And by the way, do you have access to GPT-3? Have you applied or have you got?
Yes, we do. Yes.
Wow. Congrats. And now tell me, how are you going to like win this competitive race? Of course, there are so much space yet to divide, you know, and conquer. But anyways, what's your idea and about your competitive space? Who's the biggest competitor? Who you look up to, and who you like learn from? How do you plan to beat them or out AI them?
Yeah, out AI them. So even though AI as a trend is obviously growing, and I would say we can safely say we're just starting in terms of even coming up with ideas for applications for AI. So even though obviously there are thousands of AI startups from many different industries, I wouldn't necessarily say that our domain is very competitive at this point. There are areas that are competitive and areas in terms of geography. In Poland, we happen to have quite a few voice bot vendors, but it's not the same way all over the world. I would say Poland somehow is pretty dense with those solutions. And how do we match against competition, or how we want to be better? What we have found very successful as a strategy for us has been to really listen to the clients, to really try to understand how they want to work with the tool, what their pain points really are, and not come up with solutions to their pain points without really understanding what they are. And I believe what we found with at least some of the competing solutions is that apparently they're trying to still be software development first, software developers friendly, and not customer service teams friendly. So this is, I would say, number one differentiator we build a technology for customer service teams so that people who right now have the headphones on their ears and spend their days talking to other people, at least a part of them will turn into bot trainers and will spend time monitoring and improving the quality of bot solutions. To give them more creative job and to give them something that's certainly less repeating. Repeating jobs are not really good for people, and they're not really good for businesses because the turnover is very high. So what we do is we really listen to our clients and we work very closely to our clients. So we're lucky to say the clients that we work with, they're giving us a lot of feedback that we're trying to then implement in the tooling, and apparently this makes the product better. The other thing that we do is we basically eat our own dog food. Our voicebot designers use the tools, use our tooling every day to build the client solutions. So it's not that we're building some product that maybe somebody will know how to use in the future. We really use the product based on real applications and real needs of our clients and our designers. So I would say these are kind of process-oriented differences. But I guess there are other areas where we hope to be able to be better than the competition, especially than the large players, because the voice bot area is getting to be interesting for large players, for big tech companies like Microsoft, like Amazon, like IBM, like Google, and they're getting into this area with their solutions. And obviously, you know, as the old adage says, nobody's ever been fired for choosing IBM. We obviously also have this situation that some of our clients might be in a situation of, you know, there is IBM and there is this little startup, or Microsoft or Amazon, and there is this little startup. What can they bring to the table? And I believe we can bring a lot. Even the NLU engine that we have outperforms any of the big tech engines in terms of natural language understanding by far. From the perspective of usability of the tool, what we found with our designers who are using both the big tech tools and our solutions, our solution is a much better fit for this fast-paced iterative development, which is very typical for voice bots. Voice bots have this specific that you don't see the application, you hear the application. So you just follow your path as you converse with the voice bot. You don't really know what's out there. So it's from software development perspective, it's a great material for very iterative or for very incremental development of new features and development of the solution. And our tool is built this way to enable rapid implementation, very fast turnaround in terms of rolling out new functionalities and verifying that the old ones are still okay. So these are elements of the platform that we haven't seen with any of the competing solutions.
And just to follow up on that, I understand it's with your team's involvement or without. So your end users, if they have the capacity, like minimum viable capacity to implement new solutions and new approaches to the system on their site, they can do it by themselves, right? And that's your goal, basically, to have this as autonomous as possible. And that's probably a game changer, basically. And as a sum up here, no matter how complicated or sophisticated your tools or the solution that you're selling, very often, and this is your case, I understand, good old listen to customer and resolve their pain points rather than sell your software is the key to success. Would you agree?
I believe so, although I think there must be a healthy balance between, you know, listening to the customers and coming up with your own ideas and your own improvements, for two reasons. One reason is, we don't want to turn into an agency that would just be implementing solutions for the clients, because that would mean that we would need to do customizations to the platform and changes all the time just to satisfy the minute needs of the clients, which might not necessarily be the optimal solutions. So we also need to look from the product management perspective at the overall solution, and sometimes we need to say, okay, we know some clients would like this, but we believe that there is a better way of doing this. We know this because we are specialists in terms of the underlying mechanisms, but also in terms of, we working with a number of different industries, with number of different companies, number of different teams, we kind of see patterns, I guess, a little better than a single customer service manager might be able to. But still, we listen to them very closely because we believe that ultimately these are the people that will be using our products or are using our product right now, and ultimately they need to be satisfied with what they're getting.
And with time, you might become a better expert of your client's business than themselves, using this X-ray kind of, this position of X-raying different sectors, verticals, and so on, and collecting all the critical mass of data points for your new clients. That they think,
yes, exactly. So
they might think they have unique solutions that you have already collected from different similar businesses and so on. And that's your, of course, strong point. And the more you develop the solution and the more clients you have, the more universally effective you might become, right?
Exactly. So there is, to some extent, we also have the network effects situation here, that we are able to offer better and better solutions, even if only know-how at the beginning on our end, but ultimately also as a product, better and better solutions, just because we experience all those different situations and our algorithms are able to learn from all those different flows and conversations.
Yeah. Okay, great. So let's round up this part of the conversation and move on. Yes, great, Paweł. Let's move on to round 3, and this is a round of quick Q&A, questions and answers, okay? Try to answer as short as you can or as long as you can, but I will cut you off. So first, let's start. Definitely as a founder or co-founder of the business, you are living a pretty hectic, dynamic life. What are your personal productivity hacks? Not the tools, but rather processes that you adhere to or you try to repeat every day.
So I'm in even worse position because I'm a CEO at 2 companies at the same time. So Talkie is a spin-off from my software house where I'm still a CEO and have been for the last 12 years. And obviously that wouldn't be possible without relying on the people that surround me, relying on my colleagues that support all these different areas of the businesses. So I guess number 1 productivity hack is to surround yourself with people that you trust and people that you value and people that you can rely on, so that you're not getting into any kind of micromanagement mode, because that would probably kill me. So trusting the people around and giving them freedom to operate, giving them power, and is certainly my forte. Is certainly the way I work with the people that I'm privileged to lead. Did
you get this answer from GPT-3 platform right now?
Obviously, yes.
Yes. Okay. So it sounds like a very well thought.
I'm actually reading it from the screen.
Wow, that's a very out of box basically response. And again, a follow-up question here: how do you recruit, or how do you attract people that you can trust fully and not to micromanage them and so on? What's your, again, recruitment hacks, should I say?
This is hard. I think this is the hardest thing at doing business, finding those people, because the features of the people that I mentioned a minute ago, they're not easy to find, and then they're not easy to observe or notice during an hour-long interview, right? So obviously sometimes I do mistakes here as well. First, I'm never alone during the recruitment processes. I always have. So rule number one is the people that will be working with the role that we're recruiting to need to be present during the interviews, because in the end they will have their most contact with each other, and daily work will happen there. But we're also asking very open questions, and we're looking for those little glitches when interviewing people. Are they transparent with their past? Are they very concrete with their answers? I think these are the things that we're looking for. We're also looking for people who have been there. We're looking for people who had similar experience in the past. That doesn't need to be exactly the same experience, but they must have been in a similar situation. Talkie is small enough at this point that people need to be able to wear a couple of hats and be able to support each other, even if it's outside of their kind of job spec, right? So we're looking for people who are open to collaboration, open to supporting other people, and I think one of the key points, open to feedback and willing to give feedback. Nobody knows how to build a business, a given business, right? There's always a new market, a new situation, new time, new people. It's a very kind of situation, very dynamic situation. So people need to be able to adapt. People need to be able to learn from each other, and having this honesty to listen to feedback and learn from it, to be coachable. I would say these are the features that we're looking for.
Okay, next one. What's the biggest challenge to growth of your company today? Don't think too much. Just
recruitment
challenge.
Recruitment.
Yeah. So we covered that. Would you? So you mentioned that you are also a founder, owner of a software house. If you are a non-tech founder, would you approach a software house, or would you rather prefer to have an in-house tech guy?
If you're a non-tech founder, right? Yeah. So this is a hard question. I would say
try to be devil's advocate.
Yes, I would say what my teams at Pragmatists are doing is a marvelous job, and we have startups that are our clients, and we're working with them for many years, supporting or building their core products. So from my experience, I would say if you're only able to find a software house that's reliable, and primarily reliable with quality, where you can align your goals with their goals, then go with software house, because again, they have experience and they have teams that have been working together, experience they've been gathering for years, and building a team from scratch doesn't happen overnight. At Talkie, we had this privilege of starting with a team that has been working together at Pragmatists before on a different project. So we have found the unbelievable difference when a team is basically hitting the ground running and starts producing high quality, valuable software from day one, because they are long past the formation stage and the beginning stages of team forming. They are at the performing stage of the team. So, and this might take half a year or a year to build a team at that point. So I would say go with a software house if you have one that's trustworthy.
Now, of course, you are in a privileged position. You don't have all these trust issues and like big, performance background and all the rest. You just convert your experience from software house to your own what, like byproduct, should I say, or like corp up, you could say, in a way.
Yeah,
Okay,
spin-off.
Yeah. Let's move on. As a VC, why would you invest in your company today?
For me, this is simple. We've got a great team, absolutely great team. Both my co-founders, are very strong. Had a product, my co-founder, many years experience in very international environments. She has gone through many years of building very large products for international clients and managing very large software teams when building those products. Great experience, extremely open, extremely collaborative, just absolutely great person. Wojtek, our co-founder, a brilliant software developer, a very ambitious tech lead, great person to have on board. I won't be talking much about myself. I guess my LinkedIn should say enough. Really great people on the team, head of marketing that has joined us recently, people from the conversation design, developers, basically everybody that we have on board has gone through a pretty rigorous recruitment process where we are really looking for people that will be able to scale with us. On the product side, this product is probably one of the best in its domain in the world right now. And we keep on hearing it from the clients that had a chance to compare. And in the end, the actual business, obviously in the beginning, it's a little faster and a little easier to grow 700% than later. But being able to do so in your life is not obvious. Being able to scale sales and scale projects like this and being able to sell internationally. We right now have clients in the US, we have clients in the UK, and we've just started going abroad. To me, these are very significant and very good indicators of future success.
So team, product, and scalability of the opportunity to expand globally quick enough. Okay, you mentioned the US expansion. What's right now? You have some experience with expansion there as well. What do you think is the best approach to enter US market and grow there?
So I'm far from being an expert. Certainly, my past experience selling software services to the US and now selling Talkie as a product to the US, certainly having local presence is of very high importance. It is so much easier. Yes, it is
to hire
so
somebody
much easier.
Local or to delegate somebody from your
hire somebody local. Hire somebody local. So we're working with a local business development person. We'll be growing the team. So absolutely being there is key.
And it's somebody who is your employee, right? You could say. I mean, part of your team with your logo, business cards, and so on. Not a outsourced contractor. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Paweł, let's move on then. We partially covered the next round, which is about the company. So you mentioned the founding team, you mentioned like key employees as well. And I understand the whole team is, including the founders, it's around 20 people right now, right?
Yes.
And you are still mentioning that the recruitment is your biggest challenge right now. So what roles are burning right now for the team?
We're growing the marketing team. We're looking for growing the sales team and have started to recruit for the head of sales position, global head of sales, somebody who will have the capacity and come with experience of building international sales. We're obviously looking for technical people, both on the AI side as well as the regular development side. We're looking for people who could support our voice bot configuration, conversation design team. So basically, we're growing in all the different, all the different areas because we basically need and want to scale the company up.
Are all those roles office-based, remote-based, mixed? Is it acceptable? What's your approach here?
So all of them are remote. We do use offices in 2 locations in Poland right now, where we have the kind of, more of a congestion of people in Warsaw and Gdańsk. But in general, we are not looking for office workers. We're looking for people who might as well work remotely. This is not that important. What's important is those people, their attitude, how standalone they are, how reliable they are.
While we're here, what tools are you using to project manage or to manage remote teams? What's the key tool? I mean, software.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that we use. Number one tool is for daily communication. We use Slack for this. We use ClickUp for managing client projects, client implementations. We use Jira for backlog management, for product management. We use Miro a lot for many different things, for visualizing, for brainstorming, for workshops. So Miro has also become an important tool in our tool belt. I guess these are the key ones.
Okay, great. Paweł, with this, we move on to the last but not least important, round 5, which is Formula F3, funding for the future. But before thinking about the future funding, by now, I understand is more or less, it's just below 1 million euro. And your seed round was closed with LT Capital and Movements Capital, right? Last autumn,
yes.
autumn 2020.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so, and this is the seed round, and moreover, Movements, even I understand, stake the ground for the follow-up investment as well, right? So much they like to, I understand. What are your plans for the next round?
We have a very good relationship.
When do you plan to go into the market with the next round?
Actually, we're starting right now. I'm finalizing the financial model and other documents. And most probably the upcoming Monday will be kind of official start of the fundraising. Having said that, we already got a couple of very promising VCs asking for kind of being able to be the first ones to talk with us. So we're pretty optimistic. We had a chance over the last couple of months to talk to around 40 different VCs. So we, I guess, more or less understand what we're looking for, what those companies can offer to us. But we're obviously open to talk to others as well. What, from our perspective, is key at this point is ability to grow internationally, and any experience, any support that the VCs would have, whether with their portfolio companies or ideally with the kind of services that they could have by themselves to support us with that, will be driving our decision-making process here.
Do you think you might get some early bird VC interest from international or overseas investors as well?
We already have been talking to overseas investors as well, so we're hoping to have one. We probably will be looking for a co-investment, and I'm not talking about Movens, which is pretty obvious as a follow-on, but I guess we're looking for a co-investment of a European and a US VC, if we find the right partners.
Can you share some like general details about the round, your, I don't know, like valuation or amounts you're expecting to raise and stuff like that? Whatever you can say. Of course, this should not be like too precise.
Sure. Obviously, valuations are tricky. I'm not doing valuations of companies as my daily job, so I won't be commenting on that one. But we have a very good growth plan, a very detailed growth plan, and very good understanding what we need versus our plans in terms of revenue growth. So we'll be looking at 5 million euro as the investment at this point.
Yes, and you count on this amount for how long to keep you going?
We're looking for 1.5 to 2 years.
Okay, pretty aggressive growth planned, I understand.
You know, as you said earlier, this area is getting crowded. It might happen that if we're not growing fast enough, there will be others that will. So, you know, in the Silicon Valley, they say go big or go home. From our perspective, I guess the market is ready for going big.
Would you agree there's an oversupply of money in the US VC market, so to say, and undersupply of interesting ideas? And does it make sense for you to, you know, to switch your headquarters to the States, Delaware, whatever, so that you can try and tap on the financial markets in the States, and then your 5M becomes 15, 20, you know, easy. As a point of discussion right now, of course.
I'm
it's
absolutely,
like this is guaranteed.
I'm absolutely far from being an expert on financial markets and VCs. Obviously, I'm following what's happening, but in the end, valuation is not the only thing that is important at this point. We want to be able to sustainably grow the company and not, you know, build it too fast and lose the company culture, lose the quality, sacrifice other elements of the business just to be able to you know, burn the capital that we would raise. From our perspective, what's much more important is to have the right partners, the partners that would support our growth. And I believe being a European company, it's probably, at least at this stage of growth, it's probably going to be easier to still drive it from here.
Yeah, fair enough. Paweł, last question. I know this is very early and there's still pre-A and so on, but what's your own exit plan for the company, if you have any?
So at this point, I think it's a little early to say, especially that we don't know what will happen with the voice web market longer term. Probably 2 years from now, my idea would be clear. But obviously, we take into account a couple of scenarios. We take into account the scenario of a regular acquisition, the technology being very interesting to companies from a similar area, from contact center area, from customer service area. There's plenty of very successful companies that lack the AI part or conversational AI aspect. So this might be a possible future. We're also not shying away from potentially acquiring and then raising money in the future for acquiring businesses to supplement our product portfolio with other solutions. So at this point, hard to say. I would say as a CEO, as of today, I'm probably not ready for IPO, but it, you know, this is still pre-A, so we've got you know, a long way ahead of us.
Anyways, it shows the way of thinking you have right now for the company, and definitely have to focus on the product and development and expansion. Lots of interesting challenges. Paweł, that's been a great chat, definitely. Thanks a lot, and wish all the best. Let's keep in touch in the meantime.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.